Hey guys, how's it going? So today actually we're gonna be looking at another problem: users by average session time. Um, we're not using Python pandas. We're gonna be using SQL today. So essentially, we are tasked with that. We need to calculate each user's average session time, right? So a session can be defined as a time difference between a page load and a page exit. So you can think of it as you load an application, it could be like Facebook, YouTube. So that is the page load, you just access it. But as you leave, it could be closing that tab, or maybe you just signing out. That is the page exit. Okay. So we are told that we can assume that a user has only one session per day. So because of like users can like access the site as many times during the day, so what we need to do is that we need to only consider the latest page load, meaning that if you accessed the page in the morning and you accessed it later on around 5 p.m., we're going to consider that. However, we're going to consider also the earliest page exit, meaning that probably you logged in the morning and you logged out. So we're going to consider that time that you logged out as our page exit. So that is going to be the minimum time for page exit. Then the page load is going to be the maximum time for when you access the page. Okay. Hope that kind of like give you guys the context of what these sessions, what they mean from these problem context, right? So what comes to my mind, because we know this, is that how about then we try to calculate the maximum time for the page load? Because you know how I like to attract these problems, that I like to break them into like small pieces, so this way it becomes easy for me to kind of like join all of these sub problems, right? So we can actually get the maximum time for page load, right? And we can get the minimum time for page exit, right? So because of this, we also need to consider that a user session, it's per day, right? So which means that as we try to get the minimum time or the minimum page load, we should make sure that we group by day, because if we don't group by day, then we're gonna get the minimum time or the maximum time for the entire period that the user have been engaged with the application. Okay, so how does the data looks like? We have select all from Facebook. Okay, Facebook weblog. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, not a complex data set, only 3 columns: user ID, time, and action. Fine, I think we can do this. So we just need to, like I said, we're gonna break this thing into two. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say I'm gonna call this one page load, because we want the maximum time. I'm gonna say as select that, then we're gonna do that. Okay, so because here the goal is to focus on the page load, so I'm just gonna say when. So I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible. Like I like how I approach problems, because I just like to solve easy things first, things that make sense. There is no confusion. And then as you go along, like you kind of like focus on these things that are not clear. I think this way you kind of like make progress or something like that. But we know that the page load, we are told that we need to consider only the latest page load. So that means we're gonna have to say max max timestamp, right? I think that's what the column is called. Yes, timestamp, right? Timestamp. So we can probably say as latest. Okay, then this way what we need to do also is that we need to consider a day, because they say that assume a user has only one session per day. So if we're gonna do max, we're gonna get the max for the entire table. So actually let me show you what I mean. Select all from page load. Let's run this. So you see what happened is that we get the max day for the whole entire table for a specific user, and here we told that we need to calculate for each user. So what does this mean? It means that we need to group by we're gonna need to group by user, right? That is actually gonna give us the latest for each user, right? Group by, I think it's called user ID, right? Sorry about that. So you see what happened is that now we get the latest time for each user, right? But still this is not accurate because this latest time, it's not per day, as we are told that we just need to consider it for a day. So what will this mean? It will mean that we need to create something along the lines of day time stamp. So this day here, it's a function in MySQL. It's just gonna take the timestamp and it's gonna get the day from there. Now the result look convincing, convincing because we have the latest date for each user for a day. So I think now it's fine. So what we can do is that we can try to do the same thing, but now for the page exit. Okay, so I'm gonna say page exit, literally the same thing. So I'm gonna say as just so that you understand, I'm just gonna say select all. So this time, because we want the earliest page exit, so we're gonna select the minimum time. So we're gonna say min time stamp timestamp, okay, as earliest. Then we're gonna say from, same thing as we did, Facebook weblog, I think weblog. Then we're gonna say where, this is where the difference is, where action equals to page exit instead of page load. Then we do the same thing, we just want there to group by, because we know that we want the session time for each user, and the session time we know that is for a day, so it's going to be timestamp for a day. So for those who are wondering, let me repeat this. If you're wondering why we group in by user and day, like I explained to you, if you group only by user, you're going to get the session time or the mean time, I mean to say, for user for the entire data set. So the user could be in accessing the application for the entire year. So you're gonna get like the minimum day for that user. But however, you then forget that, okay, but the session is, they say that is per day. So hence here, it's important that we group by user and the day. I hope that makes sense, right? I hope it's not that confusing. So we're gonna have a page load. We're gonna have a page exit, I meant to say. It looks like we made a mistake around here, right? There's two actions here. So let me run this. Okay, it looks like it's fine. So now we have what we want. We know when the user exited the page, the minimum time, we have the maximum time when the user exited the page. So literally our job is done, is we just need to join these two things and get the session time based on the definition. So to do that, we're gonna say select all from page exit. Then I'm just gonna inner join by inner join with the page load. I think we call it page load. I'm going to remove this underscore page load. Okay, remove that. Then we're gonna call this PL on PL, this one, let's call it PE. Then we're gonna say on PL dot, I wanna join these two on user ID equals to pe dot user ID. And if we only join by the user, right, because obviously like it makes sense for us to join by the user because we want like the minimum time and maximum time, that makes sense, right? However, if we only join by these two, by this user ID only, is that then we're not considering the day, right? So it's important that we consider the day because we want the minimum, the maximum day, like the maximum time for that day, the maximum time for that day. Okay, so which means that we're gonna do something along the lines of let me do this. I think here we're gonna have the mean timestamp as earliest. Then we're gonna have I want to have a day, so it's gonna be time stamp as day. Similarly, it's gonna be copy and paste, right? We copy it here. I think we got right. So we have a day, we have a day. So the only thing that's left is just for me to say pe dot day equals to pl dot day. So it's very important that we include a day. So the first question was like, calculate each user's average session time. So now for each user, we just need to say group by pe dot user ID. Okay, then to calculate that average session time, we just need to take I think we just need to calculate the average. I think it's gonna be in seconds or minutes, but let's check. Yeah, I think it's gonna be in seconds because the data here is given in seconds. So it's gonna be second timestamp different time stamp. Oops, timestamp. So div second, then we're gonna have which is page load dot earliest time. We're gonna want the difference between those two, so it's gonna be page load earliest time and page exit dot no earliest. Sorry about that, guys. Getting confused. Page load is going to be latest. So but at the high level is that I'm just getting the difference between these two time and in seconds. So there's this function here, time div get the difference between these two time, then give me the average, right? So timestamp difference of these two, so this is the time the earliest, then this is the what's this is the earliest, this is the latest. I hope that makes sense. So this is what we have. So we have user ID, user 1 and user 2. Okay, let's check the solution. Yeah, it looks like we solved the problem. So I don't know if this guys was helpful. If it was not, let me know. But yeah, if I confused you, I confused you here on the last part. Here the only thing we're doing is that we're taking, because we know that we need the latest and the earliest, we're just taking the difference because we are told that like the average, we just consider the page latest and earliest, so we're taking the difference between that in seconds, then we average that because you need to take that for a specific user. Okay, so that's why here we have a group by an average. Hope that kind of like makes sense, right? So yeah, that's all. That will make it. Thanks guys.